Hey dreamers, it's Connor from Connor's Dreamlight Magic. Welcome back to another cozy corner of creativity here in Dreamlight Valley. And today, we're diving into a theory that could completely change how we explore the valley: mountable horses. This video will include spoilers for the very end of the Storybook Vale DLC, so if you haven't finished it yet and want to experience the final scene for yourself, maybe come back to this video later. Okay? Here we go. Because at the very end of the Storybook Vale, we see a familiar figure watching a wanted poster of Flynn Rider. And that figure? It's the unmistakable shadow of Maximus. That little tease has the entire community buzzing. Could horses be our next big feature? In this video, I'll be breaking down what horse riding could look like in Dreamlight Valley, how it might work, which Disney horses we could get, crafting systems, gameplay rewards, and why this would be a perfect fit for future DLC. So, saddle up and let's dream big, together. So, why horses? Why now? Well, beyond the Maximus teaser in the Storybook Vale DLC, horses have always been an iconic part of Disney's storytelling. Think about it, almost every Disney princess has a horse companion. Maximus from Tangled, Philippe from Beauty and the Beast, Khan from Mulan, Angus from Brave, the list goes on. They're not just background characters, they're loyal friends, comic relief, and sometimes the real heroes of certain scenes. In a world like Dreamlight Valley, where friendship and connection are everything, horses would add even more heart and movement to our villages. But it's more than just nostalgia, it's about gameplay. The valley is growing with every update and DLC, and as new biomes and areas open up, travelling quickly becomes more time consuming. Horses could become a fun, immersive way to travel, making the valley feel alive and lived in. Just imagine galloping through the Forgotten Lands, or riding across Eternity Isle as the sun sets. Now, let's talk about how horses might work mechanically in the game. I imagine they'd function like mounts in other cozy sims, faster than walking, but still relaxing and stylized. You wouldn't just equip them like gliding. Instead, they'd roam your valley freely when not in use. You could walk up to them, pet them, maybe feed them, then hop on a ride. But balance is important. One major downfall would be if horses completely replaced gliding. That wouldn't feel right. Gliding is such a unique Dreamlight feature. It's fast, it's magical, and it feels great. So, maybe horses couldn't be summoned instantly. They might require visiting a stable to ride, or only work in certain areas. That way, they don't break existing mechanics, but enhance them. Plus, I'd love to see a level up system for horses like we now have for companions. The more time you spend with them, the more trust and perks you unlock, maybe a faster sprint, new animations, or even themed saddle skins. So, let's talk breeds, locations, and what makes these horses more than just mounts. First up, horse breeds. I imagine there'd be around 6 generic horse types introduced, each with unique colours, mane styles, and tail animations. Think chestnut, black, dapple grey, golden, spotted, and maybe even a pastel fantasy breed. These generic horses would technically be classified as a type of critter, but unlike the ones we just feed, these would be rideable, a big first for the valley. I could see one of the new DLC biomes acting as the main horse habitat, maybe a lush open plain, or a valley ridge filled with wild horses. Meanwhile, other biomes could still get new critters, like hippos or armadillos, but each area would feel alive with its own signature species. It also makes sense for Gameloft to add one free horse to the base game, maybe as part of a quest line, to make sure this new mechanic isn't fully locked behind a paywall or dream bundle. Customization could go even further. Imagine crafting your own saddles, using materials like softwood, leather scraps, and even fabric dyes. Saddles could be swappable, cosmetic, or even functional, unlocking bonuses like faster stamina recovery or longer sprint durations. Of course, it's important to remember that you can't just summon your horse instantly like you do with gliding. To ride them, you'd likely need to head to a stable where your horses rest and are cared for. This not only keeps gliding relevant, but adds a nice routine to your day in the valley. Visiting the stable, checking in on your mounts, and maybe even grooming them or feeding them special snacks. As you ride and bond with your horse, they would level up just like your companions. At higher levels, they could unlock speed boosts, but also something useful, like how companions can unlock extra pocket space and extra loot. In this case, maybe horses give you a bonus item while travelling. Maybe you passively gather items that are from certain biomes when you ride through them. It's a natural incentive to use them. And then, we have the Disney horses, the crown jewels of this whole concept. Maximus from Tangled, Philippe from Beauty and the Beast, Khan from Mulan, Angus from Brave, Major from Cinderella, Buck from Home on the Range, Destiny from Enchanted, Captain from 101 Dalmatians, and even Bullseye from Toy Story. These characters already have personality and flair, and I'd love to see their final friendship reward be something special, like a unique stable decoration, themed rider outfit, or animated moment. It would follow the notable companion trend, just like the others, and would make this really loved. For me especially. Okay, let's dive into one of my favourite aspects, customization and crafting, because let's be honest, we all want our horse to feel like ours. Imagine this, after taming a generic horse in the wild, you could craft their fur saddle with your crafting bench using materials like softwood, fibre, iron ingots, or even leather. It starts simple, but from there, you could go wild with colours, dyes, and custom styles unlocked through quests. Think themed saddles, a Mulan dragon stitch saddle, a tangled suncrest saddle, or even a seashell encrusted one if Ursula ever lets us ride through a beach biome. Maybe your stable even has slots for decorating your own tack room, with your best designs on display. Over time, you'd unlock different options like bridles, mane braids, and stir-up styles, or even a floral garland for your more festive horses. But here's when it gets even more interesting. What if this entire mount feature was deeply tied into the story of the next DLC? A lot of the community are theorising that the next expansion could be animal themed. Maybe a lost animal sanctuary, a kingdom in nature, or even a magical wilderness filled with rare critters. The arrival of horses would make perfect sense here. They'd be the noble protectors, the messengers of the untamed land, or even maybe tied to a forgotten tradition of the valley. Imagine a questline where you help a mysterious NPC rebuild the old royal stables which were abandoned long ago. As you gather materials, repair the fences, and craft your first saddle, you learn about the important role animals once played in Dreamlight Valley. It's the perfect narrative gateway to introducing mounts. They're not just cosmetic, they're part of the lore now. You could even meet a legendary rider character, maybe original, maybe based on a Disney horse caretaker, who teaches you to bond with wild horses, understand their personalities, and create gear that suits both your playstyle and their temperament. You might even take part in a special Riders Trial mini-event to earn your first true mount. Even the progression system could be story-tied. Instead of just leveling horses up with time, maybe you complete specific training tasks, ride across biomes, find hidden horse totems, or complete fetch quests with your mount to gain new abilities. It blends story, customization, and gameplay in one really exciting new feature. Pair that with the other cool additions we've mentioned, like saddle crafting and even pastel horses, it makes perfect sense why now might be the right time for Dreamlight Valley to introduce mounts, not just as a feature, but as a celebration of Disney's deep connection with animals, storytelling, and adventure. Alright, time for my big prediction. Horses will be the next major gameplay mechanic introduced in a future DLC, most likely with Maximus as the launch star. I truly believe they'll change how we move around, how we interact with the valley, and how we connect to Disney's worlds. And I'd love to see them lean into the idea of freedom, loyalty, and magic, just like the horses we grew up watching in the Disney films. So now, I want to hear from you. Which horse would you ride first? What breed would be your perfect Dreamlight steed be? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and subscribe for more magical content. And as always, stay dreaming.